Hey, what's up guys, it's DarkArmedDuelist, and today we're going to be doing some Jinzo test hands. So I'm really excited for this one because this is the deck that after I profiled it, you guys requested like crazy for me to do test hands of it, because when you guys saw it, you were like, that's an insane deck. This is probably one of the weird ones that he's making. So I'm not gonna lie, it really is one of the crazier decks that I built because it utilizes some really insane engines to be able to kind of pop off in this particular deck. And it's really fun to be able to play because you get to summon some really cool nostalgic monsters in this particular build. And I really feel like this is probably the best way to play Jinzo as well right now with the support that we have. So don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, guys. Hit the bell there so you can become part of the notification squad, and definitely check out the Patreon down in the description below for all those awesome rewards, like getting your name in the description of every single video, getting a signed card sent in the mail, or even getting to request a deck profile every single month to your patron, along with test hands. So without further ado, let's get straight on into this. So, like I said before, this deck is absolutely crazy in what it's trying to do. Basically, you're trying to summon out your copy of Jinzo as quickly as possible, and you're using a really cool little side engine as well, because your Jinzo the Menacing Machine, I will show you guys right off the bat one of the really cool combos. This is actually a ridiculously cool combo in this deck because there's not a lot of traps in the game that you can just activate during the first turn, and your copy of Shade Brigandine is. So basically what you'll do if you open up a hand and you have both of these cards, which you probably will see later in the test hand, is you can just go ahead and set this and then activate it on your side of the field and then link it away for a copy of, I believe it's Imduk. Yeah, I link it for Imduk because this card is a normal monster. I can then have this in the graveyard and I will special summon my Jinzo the Menacing Machine, and I'll probably have a Jinzo in hand and then tribute this and special summon out Jinzo to my side of the field, which is going to get you right off the bat your one of your ace monsters that you really want to get on the field ASAP. So this is really the best combo, like one of the better combos. And I didn't realize when I threw this in how important it was to see this card until I started playing around with the deck, and then I was like, oh, that's important. That is insanely good. Let's make sure I see that every game. So as you can see, this deck is really, really crazy because you're playing traps in a Jinzo deck. So bear with me as we go through this, because you guys are going to see this and go, wait, what? The majority of the deck. So let's go ahead and pile shuffle it super fast and see what we can do for the first test hand, because this is crazy. If you can get two monsters on the field, you can summon Dragoons, because it does play Dragoons. I wanted to throw Red Eyes in here, and I figured the best way was to throw Dragoons because I wanted to summon Jinzo and Red Eyes in the same deck. And I thought that was probably the best way to do it because you're playing Dark Magician, Jinzo, and Red Eyes in this build, which is really nice to be able to do. I know Dragoons is super overpowered, but summoning a Dragoons with a copy of Jinzo on field is usually GG because your opponent's not going to have a way to out it. So let's go ahead and see what we can do. We're going to draw into an Allure, a Psycho Mega Cyber, a copy of the Psychic Wave, Jinzo the Machine Menace, and a copy of Monster Reborn. So this hand is okay. You don't have anything that you can normal summon. I will say this deck does a lot better going second. It kind of depends on the particular play. If you go first, you're going to try and go for your Rusty Bardige. But if you do go into your copy of Allure and draw off the top of the deck too, you're going to be fine because you draw into a copy of your Red Eyes Fusion and you're already set up. Even if you didn't draw into the Red Eyes Fusion, the Psycho Bounder is going to get you exactly where you need to go anyway. So we're going to go ahead and I'm going to banish off my copy of the Psycho Mega Cyber because I just don't need it in my particular hand. And then I'm going to go ahead and send my copy of Allure to the graveyard. Now you can do some simple stuff here. You can just go ahead and I will show you guys going turn 2 after I play this turn. You can just do something simple and drop your copy of Red Eyes Fusion right off the bat. Drop your copy of Dark Magician. That is probably why we didn't see it. You can go ahead and drop your copy of Dark Magician and Red Eyes out of the deck and summon out your copy of your Red Eyes Dark Dragoon right off the bat, which is very rare to actually do it this way, to draw it off that way, but it is a way to actually pull it off. And then you just pass. You do really simple plays in this deck. It's very simple combos that you're trying to do with this particular build. And then once you pass, if your opponent goes off against anything, you can drop your copy of the Jinzo the Machine Menace against your opponent, because you can always search another copy of that card, and that would be my instant gate. Now, if I do pass into my next turn and I draw, we draw on a Jinzo, and we have a really good play here. So we can go ahead and use the copy of the Psycho Bounder. Now, this is turn 2. Keep in mind, this is turn 2. After we'll technically turn 3 because we went and our opponent went, and now it's back to us. You can normal summon out your copy of Psycho Bounder. And then after you summon out that copy of your card Psychic Bounder to your side of the field, it's going to let you search a copy of a spell or trap that specifically lists Jinzo, which is Law of the Cosmo. Law of the Cosmo is going to be ridiculously helpful in this particular scenario because you're going to give your opponent a little bit of a choice once you activate this card. They can't ash this, by the way, because it says place. You can either you let your opponent set a trap directly from their deck, and then you can special summon a Jinzo. If they don't set it, then you get to add a Jinzo or one monster specifically listed in its text. So I'm going to go ahead and add a card that's specifically listed from the text, which is going to be another copy of Jinzo the Machine Menace, which is going to be really, really helpful. Because now that we've gone off with this particular play, you can then use your copy of your Psychic Wave. So Psychic Wave is going to help you out a lot because if you control a machine monster, you can then use its effect to be able to send from your graveyard or send from your deck to your graveyard a copy of Jinzo. Once you send that copy of Jinzo to the graveyard, you've set up for the Monster Reborn to then special summon out your copy of Jinzo back from the grave. So we're going to go ahead and use our copy of Monster Reborn and get our copy of Jinzo. Now, yes, that was turn 3 that we summoned Jinzo, but we got Jinzo and we have a revival for the Jinzo in the graveyard later on, which you guys are looking at that card and being, wait, how does it revive Jinzo? I'm going to show you in just a second. So we have this particular field. You have a negation in hand. You can ditch that other copy of Jinzo for the negation with the Dragoons. You can pop 2 cards. You can swing at your opponent, and you're going to be fine. Like, you have this really good field. And if you guys are unfamiliar with what this card does, this card is ridiculously helpful at protecting your Dragoons because it has the ability that when another monster you control is attacked by an opponent's monster, before damage calculation, you can destroy both the attacking monster and this card. So you can actually, if your opponent attacks into your Dragoons instead of attacking into this, then they make that mistake, then you can use your copy of Dragoons to actually, or you can use this to actually protect your Dragoons because it's going to destroy whatever monster is attacking into the Dragoons, which is going to be really, really helpful for this particular hand. So that's the premise of how the deck basically works, and you're trying to get out your copy of Jinzo. We didn't draw our ace card, but you still have some really nice plays to go into with this particular hand. And I'm going to show you guys one more quick one before we go to the next test hand. So you have your copy of your Psychic Wave in the graveyard. And let's say that your opponent activates something and you discard your copy of your Jinzo from your hand. So you have the ability in your deck of a Jinzo returner. So we're going to go ahead and pass back to us. We're going to say this is turn 5 now. We've gone turn 1, we summoned the Dragoons. Turn 3, we summoned out the Jinzo and the Psycho Bounder, and then we're going to draw for turn, which is going to give us another Jinzo, the Machine Menace. So once we do that, we're going to go ahead and banish the copy of Psychic Wave because it can't be activated during our turn, and we're going to go ahead and simultaneously, this happens simultaneously, send a copy of a Jinzo returner from our deck to the graveyard, and then target a copy of a Jinzo monster or a machine monster in the graveyard and add it back to your hand. So this card is really, really good. So we're going to add our copy of Jinzo the Machine Menace to our hand, send our copy of Jinzo Returner, and then the effect of Jinzo Returner will revive our copy of Jinzo from the grave. So that's another way that you can actually get Jinzo out on your field. Just a little quick side note. So let's go ahead and see what we can do for the next test hand, because we did open Red Eyes Fusion, which is a little bit busted, but you know, it happens. It happens every so often when you open up and you play really good cards, you draw into them every so often and you just pop off. So let's go ahead and see what we can do. Make sure that when you play this deck, you're pile shuffling because you're playing 3 Jinzo the Machine Menace, you're playing a Red Eyes, a Dark Magician, and then 3 Jinzos and a Psychic Bounder, or not Psychic Bounder, but Psychic Mega Cyber. You're playing all those which are high level monsters, so you do have a probability of bricking. It is a chance, but I still feel like this is probably the best way to play the deck. So let's go ahead and see what we can do for the next one. So we're going to go ahead and draw into a copy of Plague Spreader Zombie, which is not that bad. It gives us a little bit of utility to Synchro Summon. We have the copy of Summoner Monk. As long as we got a spell, we're fine. We're going to draw into a copy of Psychic Wave and a copy of Jinzo the Machine Menace. So we have a lot of different plays in this hand, and I mean a lot of different plays in this hand that you can pop off with. So I'm going to show you guys the bread and butter combo of the deck when you draw your copy of Summoner Monk. This is going to be one of the most important plays that you're going to go into probably the entire time you're going to play this deck. So we're going to go ahead and normal summon out that copy of Summoner Monk. It will switch itself to defense position, and then I'm going to go ahead and ditch the copy of Allure to be able to special summon from my deck to my side of the field a copy of a Psychic Bounder. Psychic Bounder is going to help you out a lot because on summon, this card will actually grab you a card called Law of the Cosmos, and Law of the Cosmos will then let you activate it on your side of the field to let your opponent choose. Do you want to give me a Jinzo, or do you want to not give me a Jinzo? It's totally up to you. It's still going to be really helpful because regardless, even if they don't give you the Jinzo, you can still add a copy of, say, your copy of the Jinzo, the Psychic Bound or Psychic Mega Cyber, because it's going to let you add one of those from deck to hand. You can add the Jinzo Returner, or you can add the copy of Jinzo the Machine Menace if you don't already have one, but I would probably add the copy of Jinzo because I can tribute summon it out next turn if I want to. So this is going to be probably the best way to actually pop off with this. So once you summon that to your side of the field, you can then use your copy of Psychic Wave, and then once you use your copy of Psychic Wave, you're going to send another Jinzo from your deck to the graveyard to inflict 600 points of damage to your opponent, which is going to help you out quite a lot just to get those additional plays. And then we're going to go ahead and link summon, and you're going to summon out your copy of Anaconda, which is going to be the big play of the majority of the deck. I will say it is a lot of Dragoons in this deck, and that's just the way the deck has got to play for the moment, because it's all the deck. I mean, it's not all the deck has. You have other plays in the deck, but it's really important, and it's just too strong to ignore how powerful it is in a deck like this that's trying to establish Jinzo. So we're going to go ahead and send this to the graveyard, send these 3, and just get them off the field and get rid of them. And then once you do, you're going to summon out your copy of Dragoons. So once we summon out our copy of Dragoons, we're going to pass against our opponent, and we're going to discard this copy of Plague Spreader to give us the negate, because if you discard the Plague Spreader, you can get some really good plays, because the Plague Spreader can revive itself later on. So we're going to go ahead and pass against our opponent because you can discard this to negate, and then we're going to go ahead and draw for turn. So we're going to draw into a copy of Jinzo, and then we're going to use the copy in the graveyard of our Psychic Wave. So the Psychic Wave will let us add back from our deck to, or from our graveyard to our hand, the Psychic Bounder, and then we'll send from our deck to the graveyard a copy of, say, Jinzo Returner if we want to send the Jinzo Returner, or you can send a copy of a Jinzo or whatever you need to the graveyard. So once we send that copy of that, it's going to happen again kind of simultaneously, and you're going to summon back to your side of the field the copy of Jinzo. So you've essentially established that copy of Jinzo on your side of the field really quickly. You can then normal summon out the copy of the Psychic Bounder, and the Psychic Bounder will get you another search, which can be another copy of Law of the Cosmos, which then you can activate against your opponent to get a search of another card. They will be able to choose if they get to set a trap. You can add the copy of the Mega Cyber if you want to add that, or another copy of the Jinzo Machine Menace for just additional negations. I really wish we would actually draw into the copy of the Shade, because then we could go into some real good plays. But you can go ahead if you want to and link away the Jinzo on your side of the field with the Anaconda if they don't get rid of the Anaconda, and you can actually summon out your copy of the Shade Brigandine to your side of the field. And once you summon out Shade Brigandine, or not Shade Brigandine, your Rusty Bardige, you can then use its effect to send your copy of your, where is it? Your copy of, where is, there it is. Your copy of Silent Boots to the graveyard, which then you can banish your copy of Silent Boots if you want to, but we're going to go ahead and summon out our copy of our Shade Brigandine now, and then we're going to banish a copy of Silent Boots just to get us an additional search of a Fog Blade, because you don't want to deal with your opponent's cards. So you're going to go ahead and set that copy of Fog Blade on your side of the field. And then once you do that, you can, if you want to, use your copy of your Shade Brigandine on your side of the field. Put that on your side of the field. You did normal summon the Psycho Bounder, or Psychic Bounder, but you can also use in your graveyard your copy of your Plague Spreader Zombie. And you can also do a really neat play by linking this away. You can actually do what I mentioned before at the very beginning of the video. Summon your copy of Mduk on your side of the field, and then now you have a copy of a card in the graveyard. You now have your little, you know, your trap. So you can special summon out your copy of Jinzo, the Machine Menace, because you have a trap in the graveyard. And then you contribute this card to be able to special summon a Jinzo from your hand or graveyard. So you can special summon the one from the graveyard. I would probably grab that one because you don't want to reveal too much information to your opponent if you have one in the hand. And now at this point, you can take your copy of Jinzo and put it back on top of the deck. And then now you can special summon from your graveyard your copy of your Plague Spreader. And then if you want to synchro summon away your copy of your Jinzo, and your copy of your Plague Spreader Zombie, which the Plague Spreader Zombie will banish itself, you can actually special summon to your side of the field a copy of Beals to your field as well. And then if you want to link climb a little bit more, you can link climb a little bit more and summon a copy of your IP Masquerena if you want to summon that card as well. Because then later on, if your opponent does anything against you, you can summon out your copy of your Boral Sword Dragon, which is another option for you guys if you want to summon that to your field. So you have all these really good plays, and you reopened your trap face down to be able to reuse your copy of Fogblade. So at this point, you have a negate here, you have a negate here, and you have a discard of a Jinzo in your hand if you want to discard the Jinzo. If you want to leave this on the field, I wouldn't like hesitate to leave these on the field instead of summoning the Masquerena, because it's going to get you a little bit more utility to summon these to your side of the field, because the Psycho Bounder or the Psychic Bounder is going to help you out a little bit more to be able to protect your copy of your Red Eyes on your side of the field. And then you also have the extra plays of summoning out your copy of your Mega Cyber to your field. If your opponent does have more spells or traps than you do on your field, then you can special summon this out as well. So you have another added card that you can summon next turn and then tribute it away to summon out your Jinzo during the following turn if you want to. So you can get this insane board as well. So let's go ahead and do one more and see what we can do for the next one. This deck is really weird. I really love the way that it came out because it's fun, and as you guys can see, it can pop off. It takes a little bit to kind of learn it to see how it plays, but if you know how to play Phantom Knights, this deck is fine. Like you can play Phantom Knights. It's cool. And there's some really easy plays. Like you can establish Jinzo really easy. If you can summon 2 monsters to your field, you're usually going to be okay just to summon out that card on your side of the field. You can also, I will mention to you guys as well, you can also go into one other monster if you do decide to go into that copy of your Masquerena. You can actually summon from your extra deck the copy of Unicorn, which is a little bit of a help to go into your copy of Unicorn. That is one other card that you can summon against your opponent, which is another added card just to play. So let's go ahead and see what we can do and see what we can actually pull off for the next one. If you guys want to check out the deck profile as well, it is down in the description for this particular deck for the full list. So let's go ahead and see what we can do for one more test hand and see what we can pull off. So we're going to go ahead and draw. We're going to draw into the Trap Lord himself, Jinzo, Law of the Cosmos. This is going to be great. A copy of Shade Brigandine, that is awesome. Another Law of the Cosmos, and a copy of Fogblade. So this is pretty good. This is not bad at all. You can do some really simple stuff with this hand. This is very, very simple plays. You can go ahead and activate your copy of Law of the Cosmos on your side of the field that you control. If you can let your opponent set, or you can add 1 Jinzo or 1 monster that's specifically listed, which I would always add my copy of my Psychic Bounder if I don't already have it. If I wanted to, I could add Jinzo the Machine Menace, but I can just go ahead and grab another Law of the Cosmos out of the deck to set me up for next turn. So I can go ahead and normal summon this to my side of the field if I want to. And then once I normal summon that, I can use the copy of Psycho Bounder to be able to grab, if I want to, the Psychic Wave to go into the Jinzo Returner play, if I want to go that route. Or if I just want to go a simpler route, I can add another Law of the Cosmos from deck to hand. But I already have a second Law of the Cosmos. I'll probably grab the Psychic Wave. That would probably be the better play, to go ahead and grab the Psychic Wave, and then you use Psychic Wave to be able to send from your deck to the graveyard a copy of Jinzo, because you don't want to draw into it. And then you can activate your copy of the Shade Brigandine, special summon it, link it away. And the reason you actually link it away for the Mduk is because if you don't, you can't link summon into your Anaconda, because Anaconda requires effect monsters and Brigandine is a normal monster. So we're going to go ahead and link these away and summon out your copy of Dragoons to your field. And once you summon out the copy, or excuse me, I'm jumping one step ahead. You actually summon your Anaconda. You don't link summon for a Dragoon, silly. You're then going to pay your 2,000, and then you're going to send from your deck to the graveyard all 3 of these. And then once you do, you're going to have now your copy of Dragoons, and then you can set your copy of Fogblade as well to give you 2 negates. And you can discard your copy of your Jinzo to the graveyard to give you an additional negate against your opponent. And then during the next turn, when you draw, and this is the following turn, you draw for turn into a Jinzo the Machine Menace. And since we control a Jinzo in the graveyard, since we have a trap in the graveyard, we're going to special summon out the copy of Jinzo the Machine Menace, tribute it, and it has the ability that if you contribute this card, special summon a Jinzo from your hand or graveyard, and then we establish Jinzo again. So we have Jinzo and our copy of our Red Eyes Dark Dragoon, and we would probably activate the copy of Fogblade during our opponent's turn, so this would actually turn the Fogblade off when you summon out your copy of Jinzo to your field, and then you can attack your opponent's monsters. So you have an additional play right here with the Jinzo and the Red Eyes Dark Dragoons, and you also have the copy of the Psycho Mega Cyber that you can search off your copy of the Law of the Cosmos, or you can actually use Law of the Cosmos to add a Psychic Bounder from your deck to your hand, which then you can normal summon, and then add from deck to hand a third copy of Law of the Cosmos to give you an additional search during the following turn, because it is a once per turn card. So you have all those different plays. You have all these crazy plays that you can do, and then you can even, if you want to, you can banish your copy of the Psychic Wave that's in your graveyard. Use that, and then immediately send from the deck to the graveyard a copy of the Jinzo Returner and special summon back to your side of the field a copy of Jinzo. So you have a second Jinzo, and then you can overlay or grab your copy of your Psychic Bounder, and then now you can overlay into a copy of the really cool card, which is Jinzo Layered, and then take an opponent's monster away from them with the Jinzo Layered, and basically you just big-eyed your opponent for a Jinzo Layered, and you turn your traps back on as well, because you did overlay for the Jinzo. So you have more plays even there, which is really, really cool. So I think that's going to do it for this particular test hand, guys. I think I pretty much showed you guys exactly how this Jinzo deck works. It's super fun to play. If you guys have never played this Jinzo deck like this, you definitely should. I mentioned this in the deck profile, which if you guys have not checked out the deck profile for this, you definitely should. It is down in the description as well. I think I went through like 7 or 8 builds building this deck, so it was a long process to actually build this deck. It took me like 2 weeks to get this deck finally down. So anyways, guys, this is DarkArmedDuelist. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, hit the bell on there so you can come part of notification squad, and definitely tell what you think of this deck down in the comments down below, and we'll see you guys in the next video. See you later, guys.